Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 415 of the Ping Pong Flix Show. Let's get to one big DCEU updates, and this is in regards to the Suicide Squad. Of course, set leaks have finally arrived on the internet, and we are all able to witness the first set of costumes for the first set of characters of the Suicide Squad. Here they are. What appears to be Jai Courtney is back as Captain Boomerang. And Nathan Fillion is apparently, it's still up in the air. He's either arm fall off guy or a blackguard. We see also Mongal here. We also see Flula Borg as Javelin. And this, guys, is probably Savant or Savant. I don't know how we pronounce that. And also, finally, Sean Gunn going to be CGI'd. And they're assuming he's going to be the Weasel. That's why he's all CGI. Again, kind of like, what he kind of did for Rocket Raccoon. So, this is, what I want to say about this is I'm actually very surprised how retro some of these characters going, especially like Mongal and Javelin. They look like their comic book counterparts, a more retro type superhero, older DC comic type of look to them. Of course, Mongal is not that big, but there's some interpretations where she's not that big. But it is a unique look in terms of, if for comic book fans, they would be like looking at this as like, that's perfect, that's how it's going to be. I noticed a lot of the current DCEU saying this is a step down and stuff like that. And of course it's always hard to see what these actually look like with the the film grade filters and what it actually looks like in post production. So I'm kind of just reserving my judgment about the final, what the final looks like right now. But it's in terms of comic book characters, for the most part, especially the two I mentioned, Mongal and Javelin, they look very similar to their comic book counterpart. Like I said from before, I wish they did a photo, a character lineup photo, how David Ayer did with the Suicide Squad, where you can actually see these characters in what they're going to look like on film. And just like Shazam, they failed to do that. They let these set leaks go out and people get to talk stories and talk about it before we actually got to see what these characters look like. Birds of Prey actually learned a bit. They actually busted out a teaser of all the characters in their costumes and stuff, and so everybody got to see those in its final stage of product, in that lighting, in that as that character, with some cinematography, and it would actually come out better, even though we're still debating about the usage of different costumes and what there should be looking or should not be looking like. In this case, once again, it's kind of like the whole Captain Marvel situation, where the set leaks are out and we're judging it on behind the scenes rather than the finished product. Now, I can also say that anything that Zack Snyder had done, whether it been Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, or Justice League, the set picks look awesome. The costumes look awesome and such. So I could honestly say, in comparison to Justice League, in comparison to BVS, these costumes are not up to par with that quality. That being said, this is a James Gunn film, not a Zack Snyder film. Even though Zack Snyder is named as a producer, executive producer, depending on which article you read. He is absolutely probably not even involved in the production of this, but depending on the contract, he'll probably get residuals and payment for this anyway. So it's good to see that he's making money off of these future DCEU films. But going back to these costumes, They look. Mongal looks retro-y. I like her look more than the others. Javelin, very, it's very basic superhero, but just looking at this and as a story point, we kind of came out knowing that the Suicide Squad are gonna go in and rescue a super alien warrior woman, right? And that's got to be Mongal, the daughter of Mongol, right? So if I'm looking at this, I don't think this is the team that rescues her. I'm going to say that this is the team that she's with, and every one of these characters probably, most of them will actually kick the bucket. They'll die. And she gets captured. Maybe Captain Boomerang, Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang, escapes, gets Amanda Waller to recruit the team he's used to. Of course, he couldn't get all of them. He was able to get Harley Quinn. He's going to be able to get Rick Flag. He's going to be able to get, John Cena's character, which right now I think it's still maybe Peacemaker, Idris Elba, whoever he's going to play, and so on and so forth. So what we're seeing here are probably the ones that are not going to make it, or they all get captured, who knows, and they all have to be rescued by Team B, which is the main team, the team that the story will revolve around. So, does that an excuse to have some better flashy costume? Absolutely not. But then again, these are like lower class villains, so it's okay. They don't look that great because they're kind of just. I mean, if you look at the first Suicide Squad movie, they El Diablo and all these other characters, they Slipknot, they're really basic clothing. There's really no actually costume and things like that aside from Deadshot and Harley Quinn, of course, and Captain Boomerang didn't even look that much. They have hints and pieces of Captain Boomerang. This one, it does appeared that James Gunn is going very comic booky, in fact retro comic booky. He's pulling a lot of these costumes, a lot of these designs straight from these older comics in order to capture that look. So how does that translate to film? We'll have to wait and see. But it is coming along, and I'm glad we're seeing costumes. I just wish it came out as an official reveal with with great lighting and more of that post-production look, rather than seeing it for the first time on the behind the scenes on these sets. So hoping to see more. And actually hoping to see the other characters, like what's Harley gonna look? What's her new costume? Is Rick Flag gonna look like Rick Flag again? Who's Idris Elba playing? What's John Cena look like? So we're gonna see all that now that we're starting to get this set leaks coming out. So more on the way. But I hope they really address that pretty soon, or sometime. They might not even care anymore to do that anymore, but it would be nice to have that full lineup in their costumes in a nice finished look, like how David Ayer revealed his Suicide Squad back in early 2016, I guess. All right, guys. Well, that is that for James Gunn, the Suicide Squad. Now let's get into a little bit of the Snyder Cut, as most of the talk on Twitter was about Snyder Cut in terms of the DC. The first one I want to mention is that Christina Wren, if you may notice her, she was Major Ferris in the in Man of Steel. And she was also in Batman v Superman as well. You can see here she's standing next to General Swanwick, played by Harry Lennox. So she actually gave a shout out today and actually says release the Snyder Cut. So she is very much in support. Another crew member. Was she in Justice League? I don't know. General Swanwick was supposed to be in Justice League, so perhaps maybe she was even in there as well. Maybe a cameo role. Maybe that got cut out as well. But she also is championing and fighting, or at least shouting out, release the Snyder Cut in support of the movement. So that's awesome. That's great. perfect. Another one is the Nerd Queens got together with Sean O'Connell. He runs, or was the managing director of Cinema Blend. Now he's very much in support of the release of Snyder Cut. He got the shirt and everything. He wrote some great articles about the Snyder Cut. They were able to have a conversation with him, and I encourage you to check out these links in the description below. Check out that full 1 hour plus interview. It's great. It's actually, you open up your eyes a little bit about journalism, or at least remind yourselves about how journalists work in getting the truth, or what's truth and what's not, or how they approach truth and not really trying to protect themselves more than things that journalists would do, right? He also reveals that he was one of the people who went to the Justice League set along with the others when BVS was trashed, and the Warner Brothers had kind of got a whole bunch of bloggers to come to set so that Zack Snyder can talk to them and stuff like that. So he was one of those people there. One of the things that I thought was really interesting when he inquired that when he was there on the Justice League set, the one thing that Zack Snyder did not reveal at all. He was pretty open with all these behind the scenes stuff and concept art and stuff like that. But the one thing that Zack Snyder did not reveal was the fact that Superman was coming back, and he didn't reveal how he was going to look. They didn't reveal how he was going to come back. They didn't reveal what he was going to be doing when he came back. He kept that close to his chest. And I thought about that, and I'm like, that is interesting. We've seen maybe one storyboard and 2 clips from the Justice League DVD, but one storyboard of how Henry Cavill's Superman comes back. He flies his second flight. But for the most part, we have not seen a lot or any of the final acts, at most a lot of the final acts of the movie with a final battle involving Superman. We haven't seen much of that. And it makes me believe that even now, even to today, unless something drops tomorrow, then hey, whatever. But cool. Zack Snyder is keeping the Superman once again close to his chest. We've seen a lot of reveals about the Snyder Cut in terms of Darkseid, in terms of Martian Manhunter, Silas Stone dying, and things like that. But we have not seen much of Superman. And I believe Sean O'Connell here was trying to say is that there's a lot of the movie maybe we haven't seen. There's still a big surprise, a big story elements that are hidden in the Snyder Cut. And maybe a lot of that involves Superman. So I think that's what Zack Snyder is doing. I think he's still keeping a big amount just in case when we actually get the Snyder Cut, we can be really surprised, and we can be really, it would be really cool to see his Superman, what he was going to do as Superman in the final battle of Justice League. So I thought that was kind of great and cool itself. Sean O'Connell also mentioned the thing about silence, how Aaron Sarnoff and the whole Warner Brothers are not saying anything about it, and that actually is a good thing, because what would we want them to say? Would we want them to come out and say, no, please don't do anything, this is a lost cause? He says silence is good, and I've been saying that for a while as well. The silence could actually be good, because they're not saying no, they're not saying yes either, but they're not saying a no at least, and so it's still up in the air. Why are they being silent? Well, he said it in this podcast that, Ann Sarnoff, she doesn't want to say something and be taken out of context, taken on a wrong way. They're being very political, or they're trying to figure out, perhaps he's thinking that they're trying to figure out how to actually discuss the Snyder Cut, or actually come out. What do they do with it, and what are they gonna talk about in terms of Snyder Cut? So they're still planning that response, I believe, and Sean Connell believes as well. He also is very encouraging on this podcast. He tells us to just keep fighting, pretty much, and that I think this is going good. I think we're doing the right thing. We're being pest, but in a pleasant way, to ask for the Snyder Cut, and doing the right things to go about that. And he has he believes that Ann Sarnoff did receive the letters. We're just waiting for that appropriate time and what type of response they're going to do in terms of the Snyder Cut. So that's something we're still going to continue waiting for, whether it takes the next event or not. We're just going to keep going until they actually said no, or until Zack Snyder says no, and it doesn't look like he's going to stop anytime soon. He tweeted this out today, and actually McD had tweeted out before this. American Foundation of Suicide Prevention actually wrote an article on their website in terms with the release of Snyder Cut. She's got the bus stop billboard right over there. They have a huge article for it, and I encourage you to go ahead and read it. It puts us in a huge positive light. It actually confirms the $100,000 of donations we've given through the GoFundMe or directly to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. So Zack Snyder responded today. Came on Twitter. It's nice to see him on Twitter once in a while. And he says, "I'm honored to have such amazing fans. #AFSP." The title of this article is "We Can Be Heroes. Superhero fans take up the fight for suicide prevention." Absolutely a huge positive, and just paints us in the truthful light in which we are not just some angry mob or something. We actually did some good things beyond just trying to get the Snyder Cut release, and I think this is a fantastic article, and I thank you AFSP for putting that out, and thank you for everyone to getting involved in the Snyder Cut. You guys who are part of this big part of this movement, whether it's the Project Comic-Con or New Comic-Con, you guys are doing awesome stuff. You guys are planning awesome events, and the letters from @RT Snyder Cut, everybody. This is going in the right direction. We are not stopping. This is continuing on. The fight is strong. I think we're going to eventually win this battle. I'm optimistic that the Snyder Cut will get released. I'm very optimistic it will, and I can't wait for that to happen. But in the meantime, if you guys want to watch another version, someone else actually put out a fan cut of Justice League, and this is called the Holl Cut, the HOLL cut. I'm guessing that's the person's last name. I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna link the trailer in the description below. There's also a link to go ahead and watch that movie as well. He's another person who is trying to get it to a watchable Justice League, at least closer to what Zack Snyder may have done in terms of that. I'm not sure. I've seen some great recoloring and music, of course. We've seen a lot of that before, but it's just great to see that there's more fans out there who are willing to put time and effort to edit this Justice League into something more palatable for them, and I agree, and I actually watch more fan edits than the actual movie now. Of course, there is one fan edit I can't wait for, and that's Chris Dawson's Black Suit Edition. But in the meantime, if you've got some time and you want to check out someone else's edit, then go ahead and look no further than the Justice League, the Holl Cut. It's now available on YouTube, and the movie itself in a link in that trailer. So go ahead and check it out. But that is it for tonight. I want to thank you so much for subscribing. I want you to thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow on Saturday's live chat. I'll be on a little bit later because I have a dinner to go to, but then I'll see you and catch you then. Thanks. Bye.